William Hill, the home of betting.
Well, there were mixed opinions on the winner of the Cheltenham Gold Cup in the first part of our Gold Cup Day preview. Now, if I look at best of the rest on the Friday, I'm joined by John Ivan, Duke of William Hill, and Graham Rodway for the betting desk. And so, gentlemen, right, this is going to be nice and easy. We'll come to you first, John, for the Triumph Hurdle. Come on, let's give us something at a decent price to get stuck into.
I'll give you two at a price in the Triumph. At 25 to 1, I wonder if the runner-up to Activial at the weekend, commissioned at 25 to 1 on better ground, in a quicker race, going left-handed, might potentially get a lot closer. And I think at double the price of what Activial is at the moment.
Do you think he'll run though? Because the stable have got Braunson as their number one. Well,
yeah, it's tough because at this stage, there's a lot of horses which have multiple options. But I think if the horse does run, he was rated 97 on the flat for Godolphin, and I think that he's got good form at Cheltenham as well. He's third to Ballyglassheen in December. He's only had 5 runs to date, three on the flat, 2 over hurdles. He's unexposed, and at the prices I'm interested in. The other one would be Royal Irish Hussar for me, for Nicky Henderson, who was formerly with Aidan O'Brien on the flat. He beat Guitar Pete at Cheltenham in November. Now, he disappointed at Doncaster last time out, but he was beaten by a horse called Fox Norton, and previously he had beaten Fox Norton, so I don't think that was running up to his best form. And I think at 20 to 1, anything from good to soft to good to firm he'll handle. So Royal Irish Hussar at 20 to 1 as well.
Interesting. And Graham, this is the one where you disappear off to get a hot dog, I presume.
I don't like the look of this race at all. No, I was actually doing a lot of panels last week for the ultimate guide that's coming out on Friday for the Racing Post, and this was the last race of all 24 that I picked because I thought it was that difficult.
Okay.
So
I'm going to pass. Okay, brilliant. Well, Dan Smith and Darren Walker on Twitter, they're all saying Calypto, the absolute banker of the day. Cannot see it getting beaten. I'm sure there's a few people who will be sharing that view.
Yeah, I mean, Calypto and La Rocha are the most popular in the market at the moment. They're both 6 to 1 joint favourites for it. But what I would point out is that in the last decade, only one horse hasn't run on the flat before winning the Triumph. La Rocha, Calypto, they don't fall into that stat.
That's very interesting statistic. I was unaware of that one. Okay, then moving on to the County Hurdle, an absolute minefield, but I'm all over a horse called Montbazon from Alan King, who, of course, you remember, wasn't beaten all that far in the Supreme a couple of seasons back, shaped really well in the Betfair at Newbury before blowing up. He's off a mark of 140. He's around 25 to 1 mark, I believe. But Graham, I know you've had about 19 bets in this race so far, so go on, far away.
Montbazon is one of them, yeah. I was very impressed with his comeback. That doesn't happen very often, Ted, does it? Yeah, I was impressed with his comeback in the Betfair Hurdle at Newbury, and I've also backed another horse that ran in that race, Swing Bowler, who I thought stayed on quite nicely, and that was her reappearance, and looked very, very promising last year. Possibly one race too many when faced with Vega, but probably my best bet in the race, and my biggest hope is on Luck Fontana, who's trained by Paul Nicholls. I know that Paul Nicholls thinks that this horse has been allocated a fantastic mark for a handicap at Cheltenham, and this looks like its race. It's got a good record at the course, has already won twice there this season, and was very impressive when scoring at the Trials Day in January. I think Luck Fontana is a good bet for this race, and I'm sure he won't be a double-figure price. I'm sure that when these preview evenings start getting going and the confidence comes from the stable, you'll see this horse crash in price.
Well, there does seem to be a strong echo of confidence coming out of the yard. Adam Bez on Twitter says, Luck Fontana could be so well handicapped. He's the one for him in the county. Moving on to the Albert Bartlett then, John. Anything there which is grabbing your eye?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see beyond the favourite here, really, King's Palace. The horse has come on really well this season. He's been very well backed with us as well from a market perspective. He is actually one of the worst results of the entire festival, which perhaps isn't surprising. He's 3 to 1.
It's a brilliant jumper, isn't he? Really is.
Absolutely. And, I was reading back some of the comments from his win at Cheltenham in December, and you don't often see the words impressive in the annotated notes, and that certainly was an impressive performance, and if he were to replicate that, I think he would be very much the one to beat.
That's very interesting. Yeah, we've got Alex Harris again, who's got in touch with us. Just says, King's Palace could win this in a common canter. We'll have to shuffle this one along then, Graham. Now we'll go for a really nice, easy race, something like the Fox Hunters. Any opinion on that?
Well, I sit right opposite Nick Watts and Sean Gologly, who are editor and deputy editor of the RFO, the Racing and Football Outlook, and they've been running a column all year with Lornie Hill, and her husband Alan Hill actually trains one of the market leaders, and I know that he's very confident of a big run, Harbour Court, who he's pretty sure is the best he's trained. However, he has twice trained the runner-up in this already, so he's hoping to go one better. And Harbour Court won nicely on his reappearance. Well, not his reappearance, because he was unlucky to fall on his reappearance at Kelso. He was brought down at the first fence, but they brought him back in a point-to-point at Cheltenham at the weekend, and he was apparently impressive. Obviously, I haven't seen the footage of it, but he won nicely by 5 lengths, and Alan Hill was delighted with it, according to Nicky Watts today. So he's a big runner, I think, in the Fox Hunters.
I'll give you one for the Fox Hunters as well, which perhaps hasn't made the radar for a lot of people. We've put him into our market at 16 to 1. Bold Edition, trained by Fiona Brown.
Ex-Paul Nichols, was it a few seasons ago?
That's correct. Now, there's a little story that goes behind this.
Go on.
The guy I sit next to at work, his brother-in-law is Paul Nichols, his mother-in-law is Fiona Brown. And the horse.
So he's got a slight connection to the yard.
Yeah, and the horse lives at the bottom of the garden. So it's a nice little story. But he does actually have some good form. Have a look at it. Bold Edition, 16 to 1. Wouldn't be without a chance in the Fox Hunter. Excellent.
Well, moving on to the Martin Pipe. Anything in there in that very straightforward contest for you, John?
Yeah, well, I mean, this all depends upon which targets they go for. If Vieux,
so many imponderables.
If Vieux Leon Rouge were to turn up in the Martin Pipe, I'd be interested. But the horse has got options in the Coral Cup, the Supreme, the Neptune, the County. It's very difficult to say whether that one will go there. But if it did, I really think that it's off a lovely handicap mark. I like Full Shift as well. He was given a bit of a challenge at the weekend at Kempton, but saw out his race really well. And I think at 14 to 1, Full Shift for Nicky Henderson might also get involved.
Okay then, well, going to the climax of the festival, the Grand Annual, the one that brings the curtains down. And Graham, is there anything here? I mean, we've got loads of people going bonkers, going head over heels for Ted Veal. We had Steve Gunn saying Ted Veal could go off 2 to 1 on the day, be a mad gamble like Alderwood was. I mean, I can see the logic in that, and there could be argument that he's valued at his current price.
Yeah, it could be. And interestingly, he came over, didn't he, for the November meeting? He ran in quite a hot novice chase, beaten by Dodging Bullets on his debut. He was never in that race, always out the back, and might have just been a little school round the course and see how he goes round there. And he went round okay. However, I'm going to throw a couple of others at you. Mr. Mole, who's a real old character and has got a high head carriage and doesn't look the most willing always. However, he did run quite nicely against Rock on Ruby last time at Doncaster. And do you remember old Belvano a couple of years ago? Now, he was a similar horse, wasn't he? Not the most straightforward, found very little off the bridle.
Need to be delivered late.
But was given a beautiful ride by Paul Carberry. It brought right through on the bridle late on. And I could see a similar tactics for Mr. Mo. And the other one is Michael Scudmore's run a Next Sensation, who absolutely thrashed God's Own last time out, and that one came out and ran well at the weekend. I'm sure God's Own is going to go up in the weights, but Next Sensation could well stay off the same mark, and he's quite a decent price too.
And John, what price are you going about Ted Veal in the Grand Annual?
Ted Veal, 7 to 1. It's one that we want to be on the right side of, really. The horse has been very popular. Of all of the handicap races, Ted Veal is the best backed horse from any of them. So, and you can understand, Tony Martin, an incredibly shrewd trainer. We certainly don't want to get caught out with Ted Veal. I'll give you another one as well. Ned Buntline at 12 to 1 for Noel Mead, another very shrewd trainer. Was third to Ballycasey in November, and I thought that looks like cracking form to push a horse who's since gone on to win a Grade 1 so close. So Ned Buntline at 12 to 1 would be another one to include.
Okay, Mr. Mole, I'm in agreement with, could go well. And Steps to Freedom's a lovable rogue. With the ground came up really quick, I'm sure at a big price, he could go well. Right then, gentlemen, this is where I stitch you up and wrap it all up. Graham, I want your best bet on the Friday, and then I want your banker for the Cheltenham Festival.
Well, I think that my best bet on the Friday is probably going to be Lac Fontana in the county hurdle. The confidence that's coming out of the Nichols camp about this horse being well handicapped is enough for me. And my banker of the whole festival, now that Sprinter Sacra is out, is Cider Grugy in the champion chase. I think that he is class apart from the opposition. I know that he hasn't got any form at Cheltenham substantially, but when Kid Cassidy beat him in November, he was attempting to give Kid Cassidy £10. I'll be surprised if that rival can maintain that form on these revived terms. And Cider Grugy has improved out of all recognition since that race, so the fact that he's got no course form doesn't bother me at all. I think Cider Grugy will win and win by a wide margin.
Okay, and over to you, John.
Well, I think on the Friday, it'd be Silviniaco Conti. I really fancy the horse. I think he'll run a massive race. And of the whole festival, it actually is on the Friday as well, King's Palace.
Well, crikey, it's turning into a huge Friday for all of us. We'll be looking to get out of jail there. I'll go for a nice quirky one. I think Fingal Bay each way in the Pertemps. I really cannot see that horse out the 4 if it gets round. I think off 148 could be so well handicapped. For the Friday, I'm going to weigh in with a horse called Apache Jack in the Albert Bartlett. He's a full brother to Blackjack Ketchum, who won the race in 2006. With bit of ground, I think he'd go well. Anyway, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. It's been great stuff. It's all over for another year from our perspective anyway. And win, lose or draw, I hope you have a thoroughly enjoyable Cheltenham Festival.
William Hill, the home of betting.